This building stands below sea level.
And no engineer has ever been able to fully explain why it has not collapsed. Water presses in from every direction, constantly. Held back by a foundation that, on paper, still makes some engineers uneasy. A skyline that, by most conventional logic, should not be able to exist here at all. Before it can stand below sea level, this steel has to become something water simply cannot break down. Even the road leading to this site sits below the water it runs beside. This steel is treated specifically to resist decades of constant moisture without ever quietly weakening. Tensions. Every batch is tested against decades of exposure before it is ever approved.
A completely different kind of concrete is being mixed. Engineered to hold its shape under pressure,
Every batch has to hold under pressure that would crush ordinary concrete without warning. This mix has to reach the site before it ever begins to set.
Before anything is poured, they have to understand exactly how this specific ground behaves under constant water pressure.
Every truck here carries material meant to work in conditions most construction material never has to face.
Even delivering the material means driving directly beneath the water level for most of the journey.
The material has arrived, and now it has to become something strong enough to make this entire mystery actually work.
Before anything can be built, and this entire zone has to be pumped dry and kept that way, constantly.
Every meter dug here goes further below the ocean, sitting just on the other side of that wall. The very first pour of a foundation that has to hold steady with an ocean pressing in from every side. This base has to hold weight that most foundations never have to consider, from a direction most foundations never have to fight. Even one small gap in this layer could turn the entire mystery into a very real problem. Thousands of truckloads, poured continuously, for days without stopping. The first true wall of the tower stands up, from a foundation still sitting below sea level. The formwork climbs the wall on its own, chasing the height, floor by floor. Floor by floor it climbs, even as its foundation remains below the very water visible just past the dike. Every bolt here has to hold up more than steel. It has to hold up an idea that still makes some engineers pause. Hundreds of sensors like this one will constantly monitor exactly how much pressure this structure is actually holding. Before it is trusted with a real storm, this foundation has to survive one built specifically to break it. It passes, every single time, some of them still double-check the numbers anyway. Already this tower is taller than the water beside it is deep, and still, its foundation sits below that exact waterline. Even the markings here were chosen deliberately, visible, urgent, impossible to overlook. For the first time, you can see exactly what this entire structure is going to look like.
If water ever does find a way in, this ring exists purely to catch it before it becomes a real problem.
Even the backup plan gets its own backup test. Almost complete, and the question everyone keeps asking still does not have a simple answer. And with that, the tower itself is finally, completely whole. Even at golden hour, it is easy to forget that everything below a certain floor is technically underwater. Every inch of this structure still passes through very ordinary human hands.
Behind every finished section, there is still a construction site, making sure no one gets hurt building it.
Even the interior gets the same care as the foundation holding it all up.
Somewhere here, someone will eventually watch over this entire structure, every second of every day.
Every reading comes back exactly the way it is supposed to, and that consistency is exactly what keeps some engineers uneasy.
The system is fully functional.
Power has to travel through the exact same below sea level zone as everything else here.
If the primary drainage ever fails, this room takes over immediately. Because down here, failure is not a word anyone takes lightly. Not every meter of this foundation faces the same pressure, so not every meter gets the same reinforcement. Somewhere in this tower, someone is always watching exactly how hard the water is pushed. The final structural beam, the one that completes the tower, begins its journey into place. And with that, the structure officially reaches its full design, still standing, somehow, below the water beside it. From down here, it is genuinely strange to look up at all of this, knowing exactly where the waterline actually sits. Even hidden this close to sea level, and the finish still has to be perfect. Now, this entire structure can be monitored, floor by floor, from a single control room. Soon, this tower will not just stand below sea level, it will glow above it every single night. After all of this, steel, concrete, and constant vigilance, it stands complete. Even now, the smallest detail is never rushed. One by one, the machines that built this mystery now leave it behind. The site that once roared with machines now falls silent. What is left behind still has not fully satisfied every skeptic. Even the lobby floor here sits below water, and most visitors will not even realize is nearby. If the water ever decided to test this building for real, these doors exist purely to buy everyone enough time. Here, emergency response is not a formality, it is tested until everyone can do it without thinking. This equipment has exactly one job: to know, instantly, the moment the water outside changes even slightly. A clear line, drawn around the one part of the site now considered fully secure. Even the wall that holds the water back gets finished with the same care as the tower rising above it.
A small plate, marking a structure, and some engineers still visit just to double-check their own math.
After all of this, water-resistant steel, ultra-pressurized concrete, and years of careful engineering
before it is ever declared finished. And the entire foundation is checked, meter by meter. And just beyond that wall, the water has not gone anywhere. It never will. Entirely. Every light, checked and working, exactly as designed. Every utility here now runs through ground that officially sits lower than the ocean right beside it. One last walk through something they spent years building, before it belongs to the people who will actually work inside it. Everything is ready, everything except the first people to actually walk inside. Before the public ever sees this building, an entirely separate team arrives, specifically to check the numbers no one else has been allowed to touch.
Every number matches, every calculation holds. The mystery, at least on paper, has an answer after all.
The answer was never actually missing. It just took the right team, checking the right numbers,
One more time.
It was never magic. It was math. Just math, thorough enough that almost no one outside the project ever got to see all of it.
For the people who actually built it, and the mystery was never really the point. The proof always was.
Everything is ready. Everything. Including the answer everyone was originally looking for.
Every calculation, every panel, every pump, approved, one final time.
For the first time, the doors opened to the public. The very first people to step inside a building that spent years being questioned before anyone even moved in.
Every ride up here starts from a floor that technically should not be dry at all.
From up here, you can actually see the water sitting higher than the ground, and the whole building started from.
Most of them still ask the same question the whole internet asked first. All of them still come to see it standing anyway.
Within weeks, what once seemed impossible becomes just another part of the daily rhythm here.
Somewhere inside, the numbers are still being checked, every single day, quietly proving the same thing, over and over.
One tower, one question that finally has an answer, and a skyline that, against every early doubt, simply refused to fall.
Every sunrise now rises over a structure that quietly answered its own biggest question.
But this is not just steel and concrete. And this is what happens when a question gets taken seriously enough to actually be answered.
Below sea level, still standing, and finally, fully explained.
This video is created for education and informational purposes using advanced AI tools and human creativity. All concepts, scripting, and storytelling are independently developed to ensure originality. Visuals and animations are generated or enhanced using AI technologies such as VO3, Meta AI, and Grok AI, while final editing and post-production and completed using CapCut and other professional editing tools. No external created content has been copied or reused. Any semblance to real-world environments, factories, or processes is purely coincidental. All scenes shown in this video are digitally created and do not represent real footage. This content is produced with transparency and follows YouTube monetization guidelines.